We welcome you to Blues Game Day Live alongside Joe Vitale, Darren Pang. We're here at the actual interview area room for the Edmonton Oilers. Or Ken Hitchcock will take that podium moments from now, and the Blues getting set to play the Edmonton Oilers tonight, Joe, at Rogers Place against a very hot hockey club right now. Think getting out on the road is going to be good for these boys. This is going to be a nice 3-game trip before Christmas starts.
Yeah, it really is. I think it's going to be a great, hopefully, reset, and a team that's been up and down all year long, as we've seen, and a team that's responded fairly well, and they responded well on the road. I mean, we were talking this morning with Bob Plager about the Toronto game. The Blues come in there and just hand it to them. And the Winnipeg, you win a game 1-0. You go to Colorado. Vegas was another one, just a smothering effort where the Blues have come into these buildings against very good teams, hot teams like tonight, what we're going to see. And the Blues have done very well, so hopefully we'll continue that tonight.
Okay, we all know Ken Hitchcock, the likable head coach who went 248 wins, 124 losses, and 41 ties with the St. Louis Blues. He has got this team on a roll right now. They're giving up 2.5 goals against per game. They are 9-3-2 with Ken Hitchcock. But I think the conversation we're going to have, so while you're watching this game tonight on Fox Sports Midwest or listening to it on KMOX, is going to be, how is it going to be called? Ken Hitchcock, the veteran coach, he's pulled them off right now because he doesn't like the fact that his star player, Connor McDavid, only garners 1 penalty every 2 games. So he's had a lot to say in the last couple of days, so we know that this is going to be a tightly contested game, and the referees are going to have the magnifying glass on everything that happens in that area.
Well, it's a pretty amazing stat when you really break it down. I mean, once every 2 games for a player so involved and so active in the game with so much speed, a team that, their top lines, top D pairings are always on top of him. You'd think he would draw more penalties. Hitchcock's comments, he's talking about, he called the refs like wallpaper, or, fabric of the game. You almost think that it's not the refs' responsibility to protect these players. It's my job as the head coach, and he's made that very clear. And so that's going to be an interesting one here tonight, how it is called moving forward against a top player. And listen, while we're on the topic, I mean, Connor McDavid, we saw him a couple weeks ago. The speed, the transition of speed, playing against him, the thing that just amazed me was his ability to skate as fast as he does, but then to turn on a dime. That means if I skate that fast and I try to turn, I'll be in the glass. It's just no player can really do it except a couple of, Sidney Crosby maybe. But Connor McDavid, his change of speed, his altercation of pace to the game is just amazing. And he's been up and running for this team. He's on, I think, a 9-game point streak, I believe. So a producer, the top line, who's been putting up good minutes and good points for this team. And now really I think it's about the Blues. Can the Blues top players match that effort tonight?
I totally agree with you. I think, we're at that stage of the game where the magnifying glass is on the goals against. I think it's got to be on the top players as well. And I think there's no question about it that Craig Berube's trying to instill that confidence. He mentioned that before, that it's a fragile group, and you're trying to instill confidence and breed a winning way. And yet you have the kind of effort that they put forth in the last game, which was just obviously just not good enough in any aspect of the game. But I think the top guys in the Blues, I mean, they've got to see themselves as players that need to be better. I mean, Vladdy Tarasenko just needs to be a better player. I mean, that's just the bottom line. This is a guy that's now on pace for 22 or 23 goals, and the shots aren't getting through, and the drive to the net's not happening. So I think when you've got your best players going, if Braden Shen is going, if Jaden Schwartz is going, Joe, then everybody follows suit. Yeah. Everybody falls in line. But, when you're asking 3rd or 4th line players to jump up there and take on the responsibility the top players do, and they get all the power play time, they're getting all the big offensive zone face-offs and all the big minutes. I just think, quite frankly, that they've got to be much better in this game for the Blues to get going on this road trip. That being said, now the Blues have played well when they've faced this kind of adversity. The D, Parayko, whether it be Parayko and Joel Edmondson going up against McKinnon, McDavid, the Line A group or the Scheifele group in Winnipeg. So I think this matchup here will be a real good one for them because they're top heavy. It's their top line.
Yes.
They've got a little bit of scoring on their second line. Now they got a little bit of speed on their third line. But really, it's a top line heavy group. So that's why I think this is going to be a great matchup game. And you can watch Edmondson and Parayko and see how they are against them. See how Ryan O'Reilly is against them. And I think whenever there's a challenge like this, that's when the Blues play their best hockey. That's why I'm excited about this game tonight.
I really am. I am too. I think you're exactly right. I think it's a very top heavy line, and that McDavid, Draisaitl line. I mean, a team that just depends on that first line with so much speed up front. I'm excited to see Joel Edmondson out there matched up against him tonight, as best as Berube can do, being on the road. Yep. But Joel's adjusted his game. I remember the McKinnon game in Colorado where the first shift he gets burnt wide. His gap's a little too tight. Yep. But then he adjusted. The gap can't be as tight against McDavid or Draisaitl. I mean, Payarvi, Ryder. There's some really fast up and running players on this team. A team that thrives in transition. I mean, this is a quick team. puck management, the blue line.
Or at least it's got some quick players.
Oh my goodness gracious! If you turn the puck over at the blue line, it's going the other way in an absolute hurry. And believe it or not, for me too, I watched that Edmonton Blues game from a couple weeks ago. The Cassian Lucic line was
very good.
Very good.
Yeah.
I mean, hard hitting line. You got Brodziak in the middle of that line. So threats up front, and hopefully find a couple holes in the defensive, play in the offensive zone, get up and run, and hopefully get some shots in net, more traffic to the cage, and I think we're in for a good night.
Yeah, and Jake Allen pulled in the last game, but I looked back at that again, and obviously if you can sprinkle in a superlative save on a breakaway, then maybe that changed a little bit. But man, he was hung out to dry again, and so but on the road his numbers are phenomenal. I mean, so he's putting up some save percentage, his numbers. Maybe he's just a little bit more at ease. Maybe there's not as much pressure from the way that the Blues are playing on home ice, and he carries that on the road. So that's a good thing. I want to mention something here because we're in Edmonton. That our great group here, Chris Pinkard and Trevor Nickerson, I know Dan O'Neill as well, went off and saw the great goalie.
Amazing.
Glenn Hall with Bobby Plagers on this trip. It's always fun having Bobby and listening to him. But our Blues fans are going to see something real special. It's going to come out in January. But to make the effort to go out there and two old teammates, man, oh man, hamming it up and talking about life as it was and catching up. This is going to be one special feature.
Oh my God, it's going to be terrific. I was talking to Bobby on the bus. I know you were as well this morning. Just little snippets, little stories from the old days. I mean, little things like they used to use one puck in warm-ups. Every team had one puck. Can you imagine something that silly? And he said Glenn Hall would never want to grab it. He would never want to grab it in warm-ups because the gloves were in the time not very protective, so he didn't want to bruise his hand before the game. Little things like that. I mean, 502 games, I believe, that stretch where he played every one of those games,
and over 50 in the playoffs. So that's not even counted in that streak.
The toughness,
without a mask.
The toughness. I mean, alone.
And threw up before every game.
Threw up before every game. Little things that and it's funny. I was reading a story about him the other day too, and they said just the resiliency to play 502 games, like. Talk about the toughness. And, just his comments really stood out to me. He said, it's not about me. It's about all the goalies before me who set the standard for not whining. Don't get on the ice. Get up, get back in the game, play the game. This is the game you love to play. I mean, those comments alone, old school hockey, I'm looking forward to that interview. Yeah, that's going to be unbelievable. So anyway, we got that going. We got maybe some changes in the lineup as well. I think that I don't know when I look at this kind of environment. Can you get a shot of this, Trev? Can you see all that stuff? It's pretty awesome, huh? A lot of history.
To me, behind us here, this is the history of the Edmonton Oilers. When they did the arena here, they did it the right way. They made it like the Hall of Fame, basically, didn't they?
It really is beautiful.
You got original sticks. You got original Jacques Plante's mask on the left. You got a Grant Fuhr's equipment. You got Gretzky's skates. You got all the pucks of the great history of the Edmonton Oilers and the
couple Mark Messier sticks.
A couple of Mark Messier sticks look a lot like Ryan O'Reilly sticks, don't they?
Similar, huh? Very similar players too.
I don't know about that.
Well, my opinion.
Oh boy, Joe. You never played here, Joe.
I never played in this building.
You played at Northlands Coliseum.
I played down the street.
Okay.
Yes, I did. And I've heard the ice is very similar to that Coliseum.
Fast
it's a cold ice. It's a hard ice. Things happen very quickly.
When you say that, it kind of sounds silly, huh?
What do you mean?
Well, ice, cold. It's cold ice.
But it's different here. Okay. It's different. These Canadians take good care of their ice.
They sure do. There's no question about that.
The food's good here.
Yeah,
the ice is good here. Poutine's good here.
We did have some of that last night.
We did. We sure did, buddy. We got after that. That's all we had last night.
Well, I'm looking forward to the game. Let's. It's going to be. Give me the time check here. We're 8 o'clock Central is the game. 8 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock local time.
We're here.
7:30 is the pregame show on your 50,000 watt blowtorch.
KMOX.
You and Chris Kerber.
We're there.
You're going to be excited about this?
I'm pumped.
Okay, and John Kelly and I have the call as well on Fox Sports Midwest, and at 7:30 it's Scott Warman and it is Bernie Federko as well, the Hall of Famer that used to light up the Edmonton Oilers in his heyday as a member of the St. Louis Blues. I think we're going to wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up.
Okay, for
That's
Joe
a good
Vitale,
show.
I'm Darren Pang. Have a great day, everybody.